You know, if there's one thing I could say about tabletop games after hosting several different board game events with various different newcomers, it's the fact that they have something of an accessibility problem when it comes to their setup phases. If you put a board in front of someone who's not familiar with the game, they're already kind of jittery to start off with. But then when you start dishing out damage tokens and pushing on arms and evils and throwing out infection cards, and by the way, there might be a traitor in this game, so make sure you take all the information I give you during this rules explanation right now. Because if you have to clarify something a little bit later on, you might look a bit suspicious, you might look a bit odd, you might look like betrayal, might look coming nice because you might try and kill us. And jeez, they might want to run out of the room before you've even begun. And that's even if you say it in a slightly less aggressive way than what I just did there. There's clearly a system from them they want to get to learn, but they don't want to look stupid doing so. If, however, they walk in on you setting up a game of Riff Raff, they will be greeted by this. And all fears of looking ridiculous trying to learn the game will soon completely disappear at the sight of how ridiculous this looks. Riff Raff is a game where you and up to 3 other crewmen are attempting to get 8 items onto a rather rocky ship. These items can consist of valuable vases, boxes of purest green, and sailors that look like they're about to burst into a musical number. Why are you trying to do this?
Because reasons.
There are 2 problems that come with this, however. The first being the fact that everyone's decided now's the time for a really good mutiny, which means there's a likelihood the captain attack will be transferring over to somebody else with each passing round. And secondly, no one decided to check the shipping forecast for today, which means we've got some particularly choppy conditions out there, not ideal for those trying to load 8 pieces of different cargo of varying shapes and varying weights onto a particularly sketchy ship. Really not ideal for those trying to load it at the same time as 3 other people.
Once you got rid of all your cargo, that's it. You've won the game. But you can't just shove your stuff on the ship willy-nilly. You have to decide exactly where you're going to put it at the start of every round by these sections numbered between 1 and 10. At the start of the game, you get a bunch of cards, all numbered between 1 and 10. Start around, you take one of these cards and place them face down in front of you. These aren't only important to determine where you're going to put your cargo on the ship, but also the turn order for the round, with the highest number going first, lowest number going last. Everyone reveals their cards simultaneously, and purple will go first with a 10, red will go last with a 1. So purple is confined to this spot here to place items. And when placing items, you're given 2 options: placing 1 item or placing 2 items. Not too precarious, we'll go with a 2. A hefty box of green. Oh jeez, should have done that a little bit calmer. We'll go with a rack. I'm clearly not myself today, it's quite light. There we go. Okay, so light blue goes next, but they've got 8 and it's right here and it could weigh down quite heavily on where that is. Probably go with a 1, but there's a sneaky tactic we can go with here. You can move anything on the ship with an item in your hand, therefore you can just do this. This includes items other players have placed on the ship. There we go, and that should hopefully offset the balance quite nicely. There we go, we are done. Doesn't look so bad right now, but when you have something like this, things start to look a little bit problematic. And before you go down to the comments, yes, I did cheat to get to this stage because I'm honestly losing my patience with this game. I really like it, but it's not even that big a deal.
Now, it doesn't take a genius to realise that Riff Raff is an absolute nightmare of a game for those who hate messes or continuity errors. One ill-placed item or badly timed card can spell disaster, because items that manage to fall off the ship and onto the table or the floor become property of the player that caused havoc in the first place, meaning it's a lot harder for them to shift all their items onto the ship. However, there is one mechanic that acts as a saving grace in Riff Raff, which means terrible players aren't doomed to have a huge catalogue of cargo, and there's something very, very entertaining to watch for the other players. You did well. So if years of clumsiness have developed fast reflexes for you, you might still stand a chance in a game of Riff Raff, because if you feel the boat's just not going to go your way, if you can just sense that items are going to fall off, you can prevent them from going into your inventory by catching them before they hit the table or the box, known as the sea. Now, this sounds like quite a simple mechanic, but it's quite ingenious because it gives you at least a fighting chance, but also it means you have these weird, awkward stances where you're strafing around the table whilst everyone laughs at you.
but it's at least something. Right. Of course, it's not going to do it now, is it? The one time I wanted to fall. The one time.
At the end of the day, an understanding of basic physics can't guarantee you will win in a game of Riff Raff, because that ship is more obnoxious than the SSKT Hopkins. You can put the lightest item on and it will topple in ways you can't even fathom if you do it at the wrong time. And say you can predict it. You put one really heavy item on one side, knowing all the items are going to fall, but you have no other options. You're just readying your hands to catch things. Yes, all the items fall off, but no one anticipates the fact that that sudden weight shift can catapult the other side of the ship all the way across the room. And if you're not ready for that, that can cause absolute havoc. You're not Inspector Gadget, you can't reach out for them, you're in huge trouble. And there's a lot more tactics in this game than you imagine, thanks to all these cards here. Say one player has 7 items, the other player has 1 item. Both play 9s. Now, there's no clear winner on who's going to go first there, so the captain from the last round, i.e. the person who played the higher card in the last round, will choose who goes first. Player with 7 items is the current captain, therefore they choose to go first. Currently quite empty, so they choose to put 2 items on quite precariously, and the whole ship just goes at a really odd angle like this, leaving a real dilemma for the player with only 1 item to win it. And they try and put an item on and it's going to fall at an obnoxious angle like this, and they get a ton of items back in their train. There's no clear winner if you manage to play your cards right. It's a lot more intelligent than you'd think, but not intelligent enough to not be completely daft. I'm trying to find some serious points as to whether you should or should not buy Riff Raff, but it's very hard to do because 1, I get the feeling you already know if you want it or not simply on the basis of watching it break me down over the course of this video, and 2, look at it, it's daft, you can't take that seriously. It's incredibly fun, it's quick to play, and it never fails to get a grin from everyone around the table whenever we bring it out. It's perfect for families, but I wouldn't recommend it for really young players due to the abnormal sensitivity of the ship. Then again, I might just be really bad at the game. It's perfect for if you're having people around who've never played a tabletop game before and have very old-fashioned ideas of what that might consist of, and it makes a perfect centerpiece for your dining table. It's an astounding feat, which I struggle to see how Jenga would ever topple. Unless you play Jenga in the bath. Yeah, no, don't play Jenga in the bath, it's terrible. Riff Raff wins.